at 7 months, he told me to go to the village because the business failed. I did business for 2 months and it failed. So at 7 months, when I came back home, he told me not to sit home. He told me to go to the village. So I gave birth from the village, and he never came. So what they told me is that when I went to the village, for him in that process, that's why I tell people, make decision for yourself. For him, when he didn't see what he expected, he immediately started looking for another person, possibly who had what he wanted. Because when I went to the village at 7 months, he brought another person. He escorted me this weekend. The next weekend, he brought in another person who is currently his wife.
Hello, livestock and poultry farmers. We welcome you to Bread Vet Drug Shop, an outlet for all your veterinary solutions. We deal in veterinary drugs, vaccines, complete poultry feeds, fish feeds, supplements, dog food, brooding materials, feeders, drinkers, and all vet equipment. We do vaccination for dogs and poultry with a trained, certified field officer working 24 hours, just a call away. Bread Vet Drug Shop is located in Nansana, just next to Africa Oil Petrol Station along Hoima Road. Contact us on 0787 087 220 or 0701 271 801. Bread Vet Drug Shop is licensed by the National Drug Authority. Bread Vet Drug Shop, the ultimate custodian of your livestock and poultry. Hi, welcome to the Love Hub with Joe and Tehembo. If you're new here, you are welcome to a safe space. Just subscribe. Then we are going to talk about real relationships, real life, and strictly Christ. What else do I leave behind? Nothing but Jesus Christ in everything. And so just subscribe, hit that notification bell. You'll be able to see whenever I post a video right here. And if you have been with me, rocking with me, thank you for staying with me. And of course, I am sure that you already know what we talk about in this space. Today, I bring to you a new thing that you haven't seen right on the Love Hub. But then what is love if you're not having stories of people who have loved and then gone through the ups and downs of love and of course come through victorious? And they need to tell us the stories and how things went. We learn, we relearn, and also teach others. If you have also stories, you can choose to contact me on 0700 990 948. Let's have those stories. What you went through, what you corrected, and of course for so many people to learn from us. But before, we are proudly sponsored by Bread Vet Drug Shop. It is located in Nansana, just next to Africa Oil on along Hoima Road. They deal in vet drugs, they deal in vaccines, they deal in all the poultry feeds, call it complete poultry feeds, from starters, growers, get to concentrates, everything they have them. The vaccinations for your chicken, they have everything in store. Vaccinations and also antibiotics, vitamins for boosting, supplements, everything. Get to visit them. They are located in Nansana, just next to Africa Oil. Bread Vet Drug Shop, and they tell you they are the ultimate custodian of your livestock. You can contact them on 0787 087 220 or 0701 271 801. We are also open for advertising with us on this YouTube channel. Be free to contact us on 0700 990 984 so that we both can have the visibility. If you have a business that you want to make people know, people need to know about you, come through. Let's do business together. Talking about business, if you like my hair, It's done by LK Hair and Faces. She's located in Wandegea, just opposite Dakota offices. They do hairdressing, they do wig installations like this, they do makeup and bridal styling, and they have even an academy for teaching those who want to learn. You want to study hair installation, wig installation, get there. They're going to do you good. Contact her on 0778 997 718 or 0702 245 773. You will thank me later when you look good, when you visit her and you're looking good. I would love for you to get into the comment section, and you tell me, you know what, you told me about LK and I went there and I'm looking so fine. Yeah, so that takes me to the unpacking what we have today. So today I have a friend that I can say she's been here on the Love Hub, and yes, I don't want to talk so much about, I don't want to do injustice on her name, but I want to introduce you Arinda, the life family coach. Hi, Arinda.
Hi, John.
How are you?
I'm good. How are you?
I'm well. Good
Thanks.
to have you.
I'm glad to be back. And Love Hub has become my home, and I'm glad to be back home. And to our viewer, hi everyone. My name is Sylvia Arinda. I'm a family life coach. I'm so passionate about healing and restoration of broken families and building of strong families.
Hallelujah. She wants to make the families work. Like your passion
is,
can the families work?
Yes, they have to work.
They have to work.
And indeed. Actually, if they have failed, if you have one which has failed, it's not the end of life. You can still rebuild it and you restore the family. In
short, don't give up on love. When it has to come to love, don't give up on love. Love is so beautiful.
As long as you're still alive, I believe God knew that we need love as human beings.
So God is love himself.
Yes. So as long as you're still alive, don't give up.
Amen. So Arinda.
Yes, please.
Talking about family, because then family has to have love in it. What's about family that you love talking about? Or do you have a specific say of is this type of family, or is it the godly family that we know, a man and a woman, then children? Which one? For us to know.
Of course, it's the family, the father, the mother, and the children. That's what I really love to talk about.
Okay.
And what hurts me these days is we're having a lot of broken families. And it's one of the reasons why I have that burden to make sure that we build, when we are building, or the family breaks because of the two ways, either the way you build it or the way you sustain it. We know that even when you're constructing, from my background of quantity surveying, I've been in the construction industry for 7 years.
Okay.
So we all know when you're constructing houses, you have to build, if you want to build a long-lasting house, you have to it has to have a strong foundation. Because when you build a wrong foundation and you have to, those who are in construction, you know, underpinning is not easy. If you have a fake foundation and you have to do underpinning, it's really a hard task. So the same applies to family. If you really want to have a happy family, you have to have a right foundation. So it comes from now how you build the foundation, and then when you finish the foundation, how you sustain your marriage also matters.
You talked about quantity surveying. What is quantity surveying?
Quantity surveying is part of construction where when an architect draws a plan for the house, then the quantity surveyors estimate the cost. So we as quantity surveyors, we are cost estimators.
You look at this building and say...
We look at a plan and I tell you, this is going to cost you this much to construct and complete this plan. And then when you start your construction, then the quantity surveyor guides you in managing your budgets to make sure that you remain within the estimated cost.
Wow, that's amazing. I'm imagining, I'm looking at you estimating. So that means you know the materials that are supposed to be used. You know the amount
Yes.
you are in market.
You know that you have to know the materials, the labor costs, the
Mm.
transportation, the taxes, everything, because
Oh.
you have to look at, if I'm going to do the construction, what do I need? Maybe I need materials, I need labor, I need equipment. Then how much is it going to cost, and all that. And then as you're looking at the rate of the materials, then you add the transport, you add the taxes and everything. Yeah.
I'm sure then now when you bring all the quantity surveying to family, I see why.
Yes, and I
Because-
really apply it because you know, one of the main reasons why families are breaking, it's because of money.
The foundation and the money through.
Yes, well, some people are building their foundations on money. For example, young ladies, they are looking for married men, or maybe boyfriends, like the people who are not married, but when still their aim is, what does he have?
Oh, yeah.
Yes. And then others are leaving their marriages, because I've had cases of women who start cheating with the richer men because their men cannot provide for them some things. So money is a really important thing in a family. So I'm glad I'm applying part of my quantity surveying in family.
Which
Yes.
is an amazing thing. So
Yeah.
Arinda, how old are you? Do they ask those questions to women? No, that is going to be a question for. They don't do that to women.
No, but I'm just in my early 30s.
Your early 30s. No,
Yes.
like the reason why I asked you, you look like 16, and
Ah.
then you're telling me quantity surveying, and I'm thinking you must have studied maybe like 3 to 5 years in between.
It's 4 years.
The quantity surveying is 4
Yes,
years.
it's 4 years, and then after graduation, I worked for 7 years and left.
So you can do the math. I wanted to tell you about her years, even when she didn't tell us. So, but I wanted us to really get into families, the fact that families have been the space for love, but again, it's not where we are getting the love. You get what I mean? We're supposed to have the family, then the love, but then we are instead separating. And then I would love you should literally just get into us, get how the ups and downs of the family failing to, apart from you applying the quantity surveying, people are really failing because maybe they don't have that knowledge. So I'm sure you have separated the two things of quantity surveying and the reality bit of life that actually people don't know what is going on. So let's talk about family life.
About family, one of the reasons why most families are breaking is some people get together for wrong reasons. You find for you're a gentleman, maybe you're planning to have a wife, a family, you have children, and you're together. But then you marry a woman whose main reason for getting married is to get someone to take care of them. Someone to take them for trips. And then now when you get into marriage and you start facing the realities, you find for you're planning to build the family, for her she's planning to spend. So because of that, you find you're having issues, you're not agreeing, because you're not going in the same direction as a family. So marrying for wrong reasons has been one of the reasons why most families are breaking today. And then also there's something some people don't understand. In my recent counselings with my clients, I've realized also personalities are affecting families. I have someone, I have a client who came to me, and she was a married woman. For her, she's an extrovert. The husband is an introvert. So for her, she wants to go out, hang out with friends, and sometimes come back home late. And she wants to go to every party. She doesn't drink, but she's someone who likes partying. Yes. And then the man, he's this kind of humble man, quiet man. He wants to go home, sit. He wants his wife to also be home at least. So because of that, now they have issues. The woman says the man is trying to control her. So for her, when the husband stops her from partying all the time. She feels he doesn't trust her because he thinks when she goes out, she's going with other people. Then she thinks maybe he's insecure. For him, he doesn't love her because for her, she's like, if you feel I can't go alone, then let's go together. But then the guy is more of an introvert. And he's like, for him, he can go out once in a while, but he's not someone who likes going out all the time. So it brought a lot of issues. And when I sat with the ladies down who came for counseling, I realized that personalities, the guy, from the statements, the way she talked about what the guy does, to me, I wouldn't really want to be so much on the side of the guy, but he was
he wasn't giving. So you're saying the temperament sometimes, personal,
if we don't understand, because if you are an extrovert and I'm an introvert, I don't need to change to be who you are, and you don't need to change to be who I am. But then we need to balance. Because if I'm an introvert and you overtake me out, still I'll not be comfortable. But then if you are also an extrovert and I want to keep you at home, still you also want to be comfortable. So we need to balance and we agree and see what can we do together. If it means going out, if I'm not able to go with you, can you go alone? But then in what parameters? Because for example, that guy, the lady would want to party at night. And then the guy is like, no, at least by 10 you're supposed to be home. But still the lady felt the guy was over controlling her. So with temperament, if you understand that this one is an introvert, this one is an extrovert, and then also you can also go deeper into the different kinds of introverts. If someone has a pragmatic temperament, and then this or it also, the way they behave is also different from someone who is a melancholy. I have a melancholic temperament. So we are a bit sensitive, people tell us that we are emotional, but we are sensitive. If you're lying to me, I can look into your eyes and I know you're lying to me. Like I can even feel it. And that's why I tell people to, when you understand your temperament, you get to know your strengths and weaknesses. One of the strengths I've seen, for example, in our temperament as melancholies, even in my counseling, I get people who don't want to share their stories. But because I'm very sensitive, I get to pick different things that they're not communicating, that they are hiding in their words. I can read body language. I can, even in your statements, I can really understand.
You're lying.
And then
you're lying.
So now, if you're married to me, if I get married to you, for example, one of the relationships I was married to a choleric. A choleric is not very sensitive, actually. For him, it's goal-oriented.
Goal. What is the goal? Before we get into that, because I wanted us to have it, like unpack it well. I wanted to ask it, because then you have that urge to speak about families, to make them better. And I'm 100% sure there is something behind that is pushing you to want to make families better. What could be, we start from there. What could be that is pushing you? Is it that because now when you get it, is it passion, or is it the experience? Is it the love? Just the love.
My love for family is more than just experience. Though the experience is also part of it. Growing up, I grew up in a polygamous family. My dad had 3 wives, and my mother was the second. So he had to distribute his time amongst the 3 families. And the fact that our family, my mother was staying in a different location from the other 2 families, he had little time for us. So in short, he was an absent father. So because the times reached where he would come like 3 times in a year, because the distance was so long from where the other 2 wives were to where we were.
Hold on. 3 times a year?
A year. Yes.
Yeah.
So with that, I grew up so much with my mother. And in my neighborhood, I was not the only one. Like, I saw many families where fathers were a bit absent. And I saw how it became challenging. You know, when other people are talking about their dads, my dad did this for me. I need to tell my dad. Like, that sense of fathers bring a sense of protection, provision. So when for you, other people are saying, if you do anything to me, I'll go and tell my dad. Then for you have to tell your mom. But then there's how people look at, as children, when we are talking about our dads, we feel they are strong, they can fight and even beat you. Yes. But then when I tell you my mom, people will be like, I mean, a woman can beat them. And so it gave that sense of, yes, I have my mom, she's loving, but then for me, I don't have this father to protect me.
You don't have the strong person in your life.
Yes, it affected me. Though we had father figures, but still, because my brother, as my brother grew up, he became our father figure, and then we had a maternal uncle who was also a father figure. So, but then these father figures, sometimes they can't play the exact role of a real father, because they also have their families, they also have other responsibilities. So you're not their main responsibility.
That's true.
Then also, when I now started my marriage, because now with that experience, when I was growing up, I was like, this has to stop with me, with my mom. Actually, I have to have a stable family. I want a loving family. I wanted to be a role model. Like, I wanted my family to be a role model family for the other families. Yes. And I always told them, me, I will have children from the same father, same mother. You know, I had a lot of dreams about
dream.
family.
It's true. It's okay to dream.
Yes.
Yeah, that's true.
But then when later on I entered into my marriage, it wasn't the way I dreamed.
You have studied. You are.
Yes, and I studied in government. So people, I was this star of some people. I studied well. I was serving in church by the time.
Oh, you were in church.
Yes, okay. I grew up in church. My mom raised us in church. So.
However much your mom was the second wife, yes, she knew Christ.
Yeah, she knew Christ.
Okay, so she groomed you in the house of God.
Yeah. And at our home, prayer was compulsory. Morning and evening, reading the Bible. She taught us how to pray. She taught us songs. So she really created a Christian environment in the family.
Did mom paint anything bad about dad sometime?
Not really, but we noticed by ourselves. Okay. Yes, because for her, I think she was, at some time, she would try to protect him. But then we would realize, because the times he would come, we would see, maybe you've asked for something and then he tells you, I don't have money yet. You're like myself, I liked my dad so much. So I would be sometimes wanting to wash like his clothes, and then you're going to wash, you find money in the court. But then when you ask, he tells you, I don't have money. Yeah, so some of the things we noticed by ourselves, but she really never tried to say a lot.
Anything bad about.
Sometimes it would come in form of anger, as you know, those who have been, because she was more of a single mother. Eh? Yes, there's that time when you're overwhelmed and maybe you react not in a right way, but she didn't say a lot, like sit us down and start telling us ABC. Yes, but as we grew up, we started realizing some of those things.
Amazing.
Then also the third thing that makes me love family, with now all that my experience is what I saw in my neighborhood. Recently, in 2023, there was a statistics report which was done by the UBOS. They said the rate of single motherhood had increased from 20% to 30%.
Yeah.
So myself, I wanted to, from childhood, I had this urge of breaking the cycle of single motherhood or failure of families. Then now this report comes and I'm like,
someone is supposed to get out and speak.
Yes, this is time to speak and stand out.
Okay.
So what I do even now, I support now already those who have had failed marriages, it's not the end of the life.
Not.
You can restore. Some people may want to get married again, or you may decide to raise your children, but then you don't have to raise them in a way that again continues the cycle.
Okay.
If you've decided you don't want to get married, raise the children positively so that the cycle can end with you.
Okay.
Then if you've not gone into the marriage, try to avoid as much as possible the challenge that may lead you to have a failed
of course
marriage.
when you know something, it won't affect you like the way you don't
Yes.
know. So now I want you to tell me, you've served in church, like
Yes.
you've grown serving in
Yes,
church.
I grew up serving in church from primary 4. I first became an assistant choir leader. Then around primary 6, I became a full choir leader in church.
Choir leader, you
Yes.
can sing. So before the end of this she might give us that vocal that I love people who sing.
Yeah. So when I went to secondary, still I was in choir. Then in my senior 5 and senior 6, I became a choir leader in a chapel at church. But still in my home church, I was still the choir leader all through. When I reached at the university in my first year and second year, I was still a choir leader in church. There was a ministry.
In high school, were you the people who were not dating? Because what we knew about the people who were in church, I am one of them. Either you were, I don't know whether you were not supposed to date, but they would be dating. But somehow we didn't find.
No, I think the expectations people had for us, because for me, I was a choir leader in church. Like the chapel, the real chapel for the school. But then, in chapel, we used to have different ministries. So we also had another ministry where I was like an overseer. And then I had the young girls, senior and senior 2, who I was mentoring. So there are those expectations. People expect you to be perfect. And, so knowing that relationships were not allowed in school, really,
I go for them.
I wouldn't go for them, because even with that position now, I was a friend to the teachers and the head teachers.
Okay.
So they looked at me as an example. So I had to keep my status so that I don't disappoint them.
The pressure.
Yeah.
So you get to university. Where did you start dating from as a church girl raised? Because I am sure there's someone out there who wants to know, when are you supposed to actually date? For you to know that your family is going to be a beautiful one.
I think as long as you finished school, I can say, because it doesn't have a clear formula. There are some people who have dated starting from their first years, and they've had successful marriages. But then I think the challenge comes with, what are you going to do in your dating? Because if you start dating in the first year, how long are you going to date? What are you going to do in your dating period? Because some people will start dating first year, and when you sometimes prolong the dating and maybe you're together, you may end up making mistakes. So you find by the time, if you're doing a course of 3 years, by the time you date for 3 years, you're already sleeping together. Maybe you've conceived. Sometimes some people conceive and then they abort because they want to first finish school. So for me, I think it would be better to start dating possibly in your final year, so that if you want to get married immediately, then you can get married, or even you can date after. But then there's no time. The challenge is sometimes we have this thing of, I'm leaving campus with someone, and it puts us on pressure sometimes. You feel maybe you're in your final year. Because for me, I started dating in my final year. And
that
I had
was your
some
first
pressure.
Boyfriend? But you were doing church the same.
Now that's where the problem came from, because second year when I started working, I stopped serving in church. I just would attend.
Okay, you would just attend church. Can we start from there then, where you stepped out of church? Because I think that's where we could start from, where you stepped out of church.
So when I went to when I was in second year, when we went for the internship, because as I started from Chambogo, and for Chambogo, every year, if you're in like those days, our department was still under engineering department. So in engineering department, you were supposed to go for internship every year. So even at the end of the first year, we had to go for internship. So by the second internship of the second year, I had learned something in the field. So when I did internship, they retained me. So they told me to work up to 3, then I can go and study evening. So now my time was limited. By that time, I was a choir leader for a mission team under Kakumba Chapel. So I looked at, this opportunity of people are looking for jobs and they don't have them. Then for you studying and you've gotten an opportunity. So I couldn't leave that opportunity. So and now in the process of balancing books and work, I saw, ministry, no one is forcing you have to be here, even when maybe the leaders would tell you, it's time, you have to serve. They're not paying you, and you feel it's more of a voluntary thing that you're doing, so no one controls you that much. So I had ministry, I had work, and then I had books. So the easiest thing to really ignore was ministry, because work, they were paying me, and they had expectations, so I had to deliver. And with school, of course, I was studying, and I also had this pressure. They would say government students, maybe they copied exams, so I also wanted to prove that I really, yes. So I wanted to keep my performance in class and also deliver at work. So I ended up leaving ministry.
So when she left ministry, let's get to a short break, and she tells us how everything changed the day she left ministry. Hello, livestock and poultry farmers. We welcome you to Bread Vet Drug Shop, an outlet for all your veterinary solutions. We deal in veterinary drugs, vaccines, complete poultry feeds, fish feeds, supplements, dog food, brooding materials, feeders, drinkers, and all vet equipment. We do vaccination for dogs and poultry with a trained, certified field officer working 24 hours, just a call away. Bread Vet Drug Shop is located in Nansana, just next to Africa Oil Petrol Station along Hoima Road. Contact us on 0787 087 220 or 0701 271 801. Bread Vet Drug Shop is licensed by the National Drug Authority. Bread Vet Drug Shop, the ultimate custodian of your livestock and poultry. Welcome back from that short break. And before we stepped out, Arinda here was telling us she weighed in work and studies and service.
Yes.
And she saw service was more voluntary and there is no money in it. And she opted to put service on the side. So let's start from where you left ministry aside.
So when I left ministry, of course, now I lost accountability. As I left, some of the leaders started, calling me mama, this and that, but I kept on giving different excuses until they got another choir leader to replace me in ministry.
Okay.
And then when I left ministry, I didn't really leave. I would just go and attend on Sundays. But then I didn't have time for fellowships with them and even like choir practice. So the challenge came now was I lost accountability, because when I was still serving, I would be like, hey, what would they think mama is doing if they see me doing this or that? So I lost accountability. I wanted to do a lot at work because I wanted to maintain my job and then do well in class. So I continued serving. I did my work. Then in fourth year, I started dating. And the challenge I had, I was in the construction industry. And since I was already working, remember now I'm studying, I'm working, so I don't have time to go into other places. So my only place is either if I don't get even church, I couldn't get an opportunity to get someone in church because I would just go for the first service from the first service, I go back to my room. I prepare or rest for the week because remember, I'm juggling school and sometimes we would have weekend lectures. So I really didn't get time. I wasn't exposed to different people.
Yeah, the fact that you're from church and then now
Church, my hostel, then work, and then I didn't want people in my field. So meaning, where am I going to get the people? I don't want to get married to my classmates who I'm studying with.
Why?
So where am I going to get a man?
So tell me about dating. The time you
so
started.
dating, I started dating with the person I dated. I was at some point I started praying from some other Pentecostal church.
Okay.
So that's where I met the person I dated. He was my OB. We had studied together for 4 years. So since at that time I was busy, I didn't have time to get a new person and study them. I saw someone I had studied with as someone I know, so it wouldn't take me long. And we actually didn't date for long because I got them in the final year, in the second semester, and then immediately after exams, I had to go with them.
You moved in with them.
I moved in with them. Yes, I wanted to wed. As someone who has been in church, I wanted to have a wedding, but then he was an orphan and he was still struggling also because he had just finished a year before me. So I really never wanted to give him a lot of pressure, and I wanted to settle down. I was getting old, and remember, I didn't want people in my field, and I had gotten him who was doing accounting, so it was a different field. So I mean, I didn't take long. This is a person I knew. I felt I knew. Yes, this is a person who was in a different field, and I mean, I was like,
was that what qualifies a person to be your boyfriend? The person who is not studying the same course as you, and then if you know them, you're not going to be stressed about learning.
No, me, I felt because I always wanted a friend. But then I felt, though at that time he wasn't my friend, because when I left, I changed school after O level. A level I was in a different school. We lost touch. But then when he came to the university, we would talk once in a while. So I felt, since we had been in the same school for 4 years in the same class, now we've met, we've talked a few. So I felt, I mean, though he was not a close friend, but I knew him. So I never wanted to take a lot of time into dating.
Okay. Then you ended up making it so short.
It was short. It was really short because I wanted to settle, and even him, he was putting me on pressure because he had finished. He was raised by a different family. He was a total orphan, so he was raised by a different family, and the family had a lot of expectations from him. They wanted him to take care of the siblings and the other people. So he felt, because they knew he had no responsibilities, he wanted to bring me in so that they can see that he also has a family to take care of. So, which was also a wrong thing, because you have to be independent to be able to make your decisions and say, I'm not able to contribute on this, rather than bringing in another person to prove to other people that you have responsibilities. Because the problem came now, when he brought me in, he was not able to support in some areas, and they started thinking I'm the one who stopped him from providing.
The other side.
And that also became a battle for me. Yes.
So I wanted to know someone out there. You help them know the time of your dating, it being short. Did you remember that actually maybe sitting down and remind your boyfriend that you actually needed this relationship to be official, to start with it?
But he also sat me down and showed. He was like, you know me, actually. That's the way how he would say, you know me, you know my background, you know. I'm just still trying to build. So if we put money into all these functions, how are we going to start a family? So instead, we can start and then we shall build later. So for him, he wanted to just go have a kuchala, meet my parents, and then we can start staying together and do the functions later.
Did you allow that to happen, a kuchala?
No, my family, I come from
Oh,
a Christian family, like I
okay.
shared, and by the also now with the way my mother raised us, now even all my brothers were born again. So they were like, no, you can't just go like that. You have to do a wedding. At least if you don't have money, do a church wedding, a mass wedding,
Oh,
but then have a wedding. So for them, they were like, if he's not going to do a wedding, they don't even accept him to come for Kuchala. But then, and what most of us women do, because we love so much, we trust blindly, and we don't listen.
we don't listen.
Everyone who would try to show me the red flags that were in that relationship, I hated them.
They were enemies.
They
of
were
progress.
enemies. like I remember when I met my brother and he told me, but Arinda, you've grown up in church. Remember, by that time I had a job. It's not that, I was looking for survival. No. It was not paying me much, but it was a good beginning for me. I had a job. I had studied. And they were like, why are you rushing into all this? But then I felt, this family doesn't know this man.
I know my man.
I know my man. I've studied with him, and he convinced me. He was like, I know your family will understand. It's because now they want to see you happy. Understand. So I felt whoever would try to show, because I would imagine it's not only him, like my family, even some of my friends. Because even when I had left church, some friends were persistent. Those friends who, even when you try to distance yourself, keep looking for you. They were there. They told me, but we see as if you're rushing, as if you're, over trusting the guy. But I'll be like, these people don't know the guy. I know him. And within me, I looked at him as the best option available. I had put on myself timelines. I have to get married by this age. I want to finish giving birth by this age. So with that, I ignored even the advice that other people would give me. Because for them, they would look at me from this position of, you've studied, you've done a good course, you have a job, you don't need to, fight for relationships. Time will come. And with with how I look, people still think I'm young.
You're really
people
young.
would be like, you even look young. Actually, that's what some people would say, apart from my family, which knew my age. They'd be like, you're still young. Why are you rushing? But then for me, I had put on myself pressure to get married at a certain age and give birth at a certain age.
Okay.
So that affected my dating.
Okay. So now you get married. The parents are not happy, your brothers are not happy, but you get into with this man. How did things go?
It all started from when I told them that I had moved in with him, because when I had a series of meetings with them, and they really, so according to me at that time, they failed to understand me. And that's how I would keep on, convincing myself in my head that they're not understanding me. So what I did, after finishing my exams, I just moved into his place. And then 1 month after, I called them and I was like, don't look for me, I'm at so and so's place. So they got disappointed, they were really hurt because they had tried to raise me the best way they could. And they told me not to go back home. So when they told me not to go back home, everything they told me, how you can sit your sister down and you're like, but because of this and this, why did you go? And then everything they told me, I just went and told him.
Oh.
Yes. So to me, I thought, I had him now as a friend. You know how they can say in the whole world we're only two people. Yes. So we were only two people in the world. So I had to tell him everything. But then instead it changed him. Because I think now as a man, it was like maybe he knew now that they had stopped me from going home. Of course, he knew they wouldn't welcome him again. Maybe he started thinking of how he's going to build that relationship that he has started the wrong way. And possibly by that time he saw how his family was reacting towards me. And also ourselves, I think he had a lot of expectations which he didn't find. Maybe possibly he expected me to be a certain way, because he used to tell me he wanted a businesswoman. Possibly at that time, I was thinking of starting a mobile money. So maybe with that, he thought I was a businesswoman. And then when I reached, and he didn't see the business part of me. So I don't really understand exactly, because these are some of the things he didn't tell me when he was leaving.
Okay.
Yeah. So he changed, but then I stayed because now I had my relationship with my family was broken. Relationship with my friends was broken because most of my friends were church people. Relationship with my church leaders was broken. So I had only him. So when he changed, I had now to bear
with all
the situations. He had to do what he wanted with me at that time. That's what I can say, because there are some things he would do, and really, like you make a mistake. Instead of telling you, you know, that is wrong, he looks at you and is like,
amazing. So you need to see the sign. So in that relationship, you're staying together. Did you have a child?
Yes, we got one child
Together.
We had a daughter, but he left before I even gave birth to that daughter.
Okay.
So
tell me
when I conceived, shortly after 1 month, I conceived very fast. So after 1 month, I conceived, and my first pregnancy disturbed me. I was working, but then at 5 months, it was really bad. He actually proposed that I resign and we start a business. And remember, he wanted a businesswoman. So for him, he brought an idea. We were planning to start a shop and all that. But we were saving. By the time when I was working, we were saving some money. So we were planning to start a shop. So when he told me to resign, he pushed me a little bit, because every time I would come from work, it would be, have you resigned? Have you resigned? So I resigned from my job. When I reached home, I resigned, and then he was like, So I was like, so where's the money? Where are we going to start from? And that's also another mistake which we do. By the time I was resigning, I hadn't started
planning anything.
Yes. So I was resigning to now start planning. Which was also wrong. Yes.
This is wrong.
Yeah. So as he told me, no, start with what you have. And then the money, the company I was working with, they were giving little salary, but a lot of allowances. They give transport, airtime. Even I had a phone from the company. Like, they would give everything, lunch, but then they would give a little salary. By that time, it was 400,000.
By that time, 400 was too much.
Yeah, that was 2017.
400 was a lot of money.
Yes, it was a lot, but then it couldn't do much. So he told me to start with that, to start a business, and I couldn't think of easily of a business to start. And then now it also started from there, and it's like, people who have never gone to school, they can start a business with even 100,000. And for you, a whole graduate, you can't think of a business to do with the 400,000. So it also tried to remember. I grew up when I was outstanding, being well in class, being well in ministry. I got a job in internship. I didn't apply; they just gave me a job. So I had within me, I have this. I knew I could do anything. But then now, when I resigned from my work, and then he started telling me all those things, I felt like my self-esteem went low, because I felt he was bringing me down. Yes. So I had to, leave the job, start looking for what to do. And I ended up in the market, in Kalere market, selling eggplants. A whole graduate. Resign from work, you're going to do eggplants.
So the time of resigning, you're not the one who thought through to say, let me resign because my pregnancy is taking me on a roller coaster.
No, the environment, since they're the people who knew me, those people, they're the same people I trained with, so they had just retained me. They knew my strengths, so they gave me a lot of grace. After lunch, you can rest. Whatever, they knew pregnant women who like eating, so they made sure there's something to eat at office. If you come late, no one is going to ask you. If you go early, like, it was understandable. They had taken me as their own child. So within me, I wasn't pressured to resign. But then, since I was outstanding, and people used to tell me that, you're too outstanding, you seem to be too smart, too, like, I was and I used to excel a lot in different things. So people thought I couldn't submit. So I wanted to prove to people that I can submit. So when he so even at the point where I saw maybe it was not a good decision, because I asked my boss, I when I put in my letter, one of my bosses refused to resign. He was like, why are you resigning? Even if you come at 9, we are not telling you you're late. As long as you finish what you're supposed to do, if you want to sleep at office, you have where to sleep. Like, why are you resigning? Why don't you be patient? And you know, time reaches, you get your leave and you come back. But then I wanted to, first of all, I didn't want him to go, because I wanted to prove now to my family and the people around me that I can make this marriage work.
Okay.
Yes. So I want to prove that I can submit. So instead of listening to the advice from other people, I had to make sure I listen to what he wants. So I resigned.
You did it because your husband
Yes, because he
told
said,
you.
I wanted to be a submissive wife.
Wow.
Remember, now my family had stopped me from going back. So with him now, I wanted to make sure, since he was the only person I had in my life, I did everything possible to make sure the relationship he stays.
So right now, from where you are right now, when you look back, what do you say you ignored that led to the failure of that?
The failure of the relationship.
What are the things that you ignored?
Yeah, so many. One was the red flags. The first red flag was he wasn't really so comfortable with who I am, even physically. Because I remember when we were dating, he was, you know how when you're dating, you hold hands. He liked escorting me. One of my love languages is physical touch. So he would escort me and, you know, hold my hand. Yeah. So he would, like, when he held my hand like this, he saw I was short. Then he kept on saying, you're short. And you know, someone saying it not in a way of I'm comfortable with it, but you seem to be too short. Eh?
Oh.
Yes. But then, and actually, like I've told you, being a sensitive person, when like like my innocence was like, you're too short. Eh? Like there's how it hit me inside. But then I was like, he didn't mean it.
Oh.
Yes, he's just saying. So that was the first red flag. So I ignored the physical, like his appreciation of who I am physically. Then secondly, we didn't share about, like, I had my own goals, but then we didn't talk so much about them.
Okay.
And the challenge was, by that time, actually, I had not yet discovered my purpose. So what I wanted to do was to study and, you know, finish my course. But then I had that burden now from childhood, remember, that since I had done sciences, I had to balance proving to the, going with my career and proving to my family, my family and the people that, you know, I can be a good engineer, and then this calling which is behind.
Okay.
So I had not realized the calling. So at some point I did engineering because I had practiced. I was good. I was smart, actually. I think naturally I'm someone who learns faster. So even when I used in the field, like I would learn faster. So I was doing it because I've learned it. I'm skilled now, but then not out of passion.
Okay.
My passion was now in this calling, which I had not yet realized.
Okay.
So to him now, at some point, he would look at me as someone who doesn't have where to go. So what that led to just following his dream, because for him he was a businesswoman, a businessman, and it was clear that he wanted to do business. So I tried now to change from who I am, not to support him, like to support him as my partner, but to change from who I am to now being a businesswoman, so that I match who he is.
Okay. I'm remembering you're pregnant, you have resigned,
Yes.
and then you go to Kalere Market
Yes.
to be that business woman that he wants.
Yes.
Okay.
So I try to change so that I match. So today when I look back, I see that possibly if I had known my purpose, it wouldn't stop me from supporting him. But again, I would also, continue with my calling, because the challenge comes is if you're trying to change into someone else, you can't do it well because you're trying to copy. It's not you, it's not coming from within you. And you know, there's a special thing in gifting. My strength, like, you can't do it with all your strength and all your passion. So if I was given but now to someone out there who has not yet gotten married, I would say I would advise that as a young woman, before you even start dating, first know what you want in life. But first be clear on what you want, so that you get someone who may not be in your direction, but who you know you can support each other.
True.
Not trying to change yourself to fit someone.
To fit them.
Actually, another thing that one leads to, like, be who you are. So that someone loves the way you are. Because when the funny thing with pretending, the reality comes in.
You get tired of pretending.
Yes. The reality comes in, and then you find yourself being the real you, who now the other person doesn't like.
Okay.
Because I would try to change to be a businesswoman. But then the real counselor in me would come in. And then I think he wouldn't understand me, and just he would be confused, and then he would not see that kind of person he wanted.
Okay.
Yes. So then also another thing that led to that was rushing the relationship. Rushing the relationship and deciding, not because I wanted, but because he put me on pressure.
Yeah. So all you did, when you sit back, do you say all you did out of love, or you did out of fear for failure to submit, or for proving? Because I feel
it's a combination. With the love, some things I did them out of love, but the blind love, I can say. Because if you're dating someone and 3-4 people tell you something negative about them, and those 3 people are from different locations, they don't know each other, then it's time to sit and think about it, and you're like,
would everyone hate me because I am dating this person? No.
Yes. So for me, that's the kind of love. Because for me, I felt if I sacrifice this and this and that for him, he will value the sacrifice and, love me back the same way. Yes. Okay. So that was partly love. Then the other one was out of fear. So the fear was maybe people think you're going to fail in marriage, so you have to prove to them that actually you're going to succeed in marriage.
The fact that you had started with cohabiting, then you wanted to prove to them that you can actually be happy.
And that's what he always told me, that you see, your family doesn't want you to go this way. They want you to wait. But if you go, like, we start staying together and they see you happy, they'll come back to you. So I wanted to make sure things work out so that my family can come back to me, so that my friends can come back to me. And then we can also wed and make them happy. Yeah, so it was also out of fear. Then also it was, sometimes it was out of, I can't call it really respect, but not wanting to decide on your own, because like he pressured me. Though I loved the relationship, but at that time I didn't feel ready for the relationship. So I wanted it, because he was an orphan.
He was an orphan. It
I
kept
had
on you.
pity, yes. And at some point I would feel like I want to be this kind who will be like a mother to him. And when it reached later, I couldn't be a mother to him. And he always reminded me, actually, that he wishes I could be like his mother. So to me, I was doing it out of pity, maybe. Like, this is an orphan. He needs someone by his side.
Orphan needs someone on the side.
Yeah. And then he kept on pressurizing me. So I was like, let me just do. So if you're making decisions, decide because you want. Because remember, whatever decision you make, you face the consequences alone. And that was one of the biggest things that made me, that hurt me after the separation. Because I would look at, I would say in my heart, I'd be like, I sacrificed this for him. I did this for him. not for myself, but
for
for him.
him.
Yes. So I, when he never valued whatever I thought he would value, it hurt me deeply.
Okay.
So if you're making decisions, make decision because you want, so that when consequences come, you're like, yes, I'm facing this consequence, but I decided it was my contribution. Because now I ended up saying it was because of him. Now I would shift the blame to him.
To him, okay.
Yes, I wouldn't look at, he didn't force me. He just convinced me. But so I would look at, he convinced me to do this. So did you make a decision when you wanted? Did you make a decision for yourself? No. It is your life. Are you making decisions? Because some people, I've come to learn in life that sometimes people don't, even if someone is helping you, there's something they are looking at. Yeah. And even our parents sometimes, by the way, me, I tell parents, yes, we say our parents are the ones who love us without expectations. But most of them, they expect you to take care of them when they get old.
They love us because we are their children.
Yes.
A woman is the one who loves the wife with nothing.
But then, when you grow up and you start earning, and there are those who are come from happy family, good families where even if you don't support your parents, they are well. But for us who come from these average families, when you're old, that's when you see the phone calls coming in. And if you're this member of family who doesn't contribute financially, you will see decisions you hear, hey, this was done, this was made, when you're not aware. So there's always expectations. So when you're going to make a decision, know that this person who is proposing something, if a man is proposing to marry you, he's not proposing to marry you for your happiness. He has his own expectations. So for you, if you decide because of him and you just go into it, not because you feel you're ready, when you reach there and you get issues, it will be you to suffer. Because you know when I remember when we were young, when you do something and they beat you when you've done it, you wouldn't even cry. I mean, you'd be like, I've stolen the mango and they've beaten me. I mean, that would be okay. But if someone lied that you stole the mango and then they beat you when you've not done it, it would pain you for a long time. So the same applies to relationships. If you're making a choice, make a choice that you want. Don't try to fit in someone's standards. Be you. If you say, I want this kind of man, yes, let's not have high expectations. Let's be realistic in our expectations, but choose for yourself. Don't prepare yourself to fit the other one. Okay. Like, prepare yourself. If you say, I want this kind of educated man, a businessman, yes, do business, because be the kind of person that the other person will want to have. But don't change yourself. Prepare yourself to fit someone. You be there without preparing yourself, and then you're like, I've gotten a businessman now. Let me go and start the business. No.
Yeah. But the girl math does that. You when you get married to one who has business, you become a businesswoman.
Yes, let it come naturally. But then don't have, with life, I've met couples who have not intended to change, but certainly because of some, we find, for example, someone gets married to maybe a coach, and the man is not a coach, but because the woman is asking for advice here and there during her coaching, maybe she's called for a speaking engagement and he needs his support. After some time, you find the man is also a coach, because like, it has come naturally. Not that you're really trying to switch. And then also you look at the need. If we have a business and maybe I am working somewhere as a profession and our business needs me, we can talk about it. Yes, not that we are really going to change who I am, because the problem which comes is, sometimes you can't change. If you're a counselor and you want to be a businesswoman, you can be both. But if you kill your calling of counseling because you want to fit to be a business person, then you're not going to do business well. Like, there will still be a gap. People will still see question marks in what you do. So I would advise that even if you want to transition, not really transitioning, but to support and let it come naturally. Don't really try to force it.
Okay.
Yeah.
That's amazing. And how about where you get to start to say, now this is my calling? all the journey that you've gone through, now you get to realize you still with that man, all that.
When he left, because he at 7 months he told me to go to the village because the business failed. I did business for 2 months and it failed. So at 7 months, when I came back home, he told me not to sit home. He told me to go to the village. So I gave birth from the village, and he never came. So what they told me is that when I went to the village, for him in that process, that's why I tell people, make decision for yourself. For him, when he didn't see what he expected, he immediately started looking for another person, possibly who had what he wanted. Because when I went to the village at 7 months, he brought another person. He escorted me this weekend. The next weekend, he brought in another person who is currently his wife. So I gave birth in the village. When I gave birth, they told me he had gotten another woman. So I wanted to come and sort everything and start my life afresh.
Confirm, or you
Yes.
leave?
Yeah.
You had come to leave, or you had come to stay?
I'd come to confirm. Because I thought he was just cheating. Then he would sit and maybe solve issues. But he had decided. So when I insisted on coming back, he left the house. I didn't find him at home. He told me, go home, I'll come. Then the next day he came and he was like, for that time you were not here. I realized we are not going to have a happy family. So I'm leaving. Start your life. So that's how he left. So I started now alone, trying to look for a job because I had resigned on my job. The business had failed. And later, remember I had disconnected from family, from friends. So I had nowhere to go. So I got some other person to comfort me.
Okay.
Yes. So in the process of comforting me, I conceived again. And when I conceived again, he also ran away. Because
when you got to date another person, what led you? For just comfort, or
it was comfort? I had not planned to date, because when I failed to get a job immediately, I started selling chips. So as I was selling chips, he was one of the customers and the people who used to be around
he was
there.
the best customer.
Yeah. So, but he kept on looking at what I was doing. I was there with my daughter. So he would sometimes help me with the daughter, like people who like playing with children. So then he asked me, but you don't look an average woman, like someone who should be selling chips. You look an educated woman. What's wrong? So I had to explain. Remember, I had no one to share with. Yes. So when I expected, now they picked, he saw the area of weakness. And I also tell ladies, if you're looking for counseling, look for women, because there are few men, very few men, who will give you counseling without taking advantage of you. Very few.
Repeat that again.
If you are a lady seeking for counseling, look for a woman. Because men, naturally, first of all, some will come in this line of, I want to give her comfort. I want to give her peace. I want to make sure that not all men are like that. And then there's this kind of moments. People have different issues. You see someone having even a marriage, but you don't know what they are facing. You may find this kind of person who the wife has taken long without without helping in that way. So you find that he really, like, he will take advantage and he will see you. And another challenge, even with the single mothers I've seen, the challenges they get when getting counseling from men. Men think because you've had challenges, they can do with you anything they want. Remember, you're vulnerable. They feel if you're a single mother, you're not going to have standards because already you're a single mother, you have a child and all that. So they feel you don't have a lot of expectations, even if it is a serious relationship. So they know you can bear with anything. So, I mean, they won't value you. So if you're looking for counseling, look for a woman. Yes. So he came just to comfort me. Well, he became more of a friend. And then as we shared, because we ended up, he told me we are going to look at it. Maybe we can be friends. And then later on, if I stabilize, we can get married. But he was a married man, only that the wife was in the village.
You were aware that he's married?
No, at that time I didn't know. I got to know later. Because when I conceived and I told him I conceived, he told me to abort. And when I refused, he left.
What period did you conceive with this second man and this child that you had given birth to?
The child was making 6 months. I realized I was pregnant with the second. So it was, I can say, 5 months.
5 months in a gap.
Yeah.
You're now pregnant for another man,
Yeah.
and now you realize he's married.
Yeah, I was trying to heal, and that's why I tell people, go through the right steps of healing. To me, I felt getting another man will help me heal faster.
Okay.
But then it landed me into more problems. Yeah. So when I conceived, he left. When I got pregnant again, because as a Christian, as a Christian who had backslid, as like, at least I cohabited, and now I'm into fornication again. I can't. I mean, I can't go back to. I can't abort now.
Okay.
So I was like, let me keep the pregnancy. God knows.
God knows where it has to it end. Okay.
Yeah. So later I got a job. I got a job. After getting the job, I started now on healing, my healing process, because I didn't have a lot of money, but I had gotten some little money, but I still felt broken. So I started on my healing journey and looking at my experiences. I wanted to share, and that's how I ended up even reaching out to Dr. Bahat for mentorship now to start on my calling.
Okay.
Yeah.
So that is the period you realize that these things are not actually what I thought they're going to be. I am now. Did you remember to one day go to church?
Yeah, after some time I changed church because I wanted to go in a place where they didn't know me. Yeah, so I changed to another church, and I realized that I don't trust human beings. And even the Bible says we should cursed is who trusts in man. So I'm not saying don't trust people, like have a level of trusting people. Don't trust people as if you're trusting. God is the only one who can never disappoint. Because even if God says no, for him, he has a reason why he had said no, and it's for our good. But then human beings, anytime they can change.
Anytime a human being is changing.
I've seen people who have been disappointed by their own parents, by their own siblings, so by, of course, relationships, husbands and wives. So the only person who will never disappoint you is God. So trust in God. Don't trust in man.
Okay.
Yeah. So as I started that's how I ended up doing coaching, and after mentorship, of course, I had to start. After finishing my mentorship, I had to start acting, like doing what I'm supposed to.
Did you forgive these men because everyone left and you were left alone with the children? Did you have a time to sit in your healing time? Have you forgiven them fully?
Yeah, I have forgiven them. Not that they apologized.
Forgiveness is yours.
But for my good, because I had reached a level where, for this second man, by the way, I didn't have a lot of hang. Even when he left, it didn't hurt me that much, because I think because I was looking for comfort. I was genuine with myself that I didn't get into actually, we had not planned to get into a relationship. Only that during our conversations as people of opposite sex, and things started building up. But it's not something I sat and I was like, and he promised me heaven and earth. No. But then this first man, he had promised me a lot, which never came to pass. So I had a lot of anger. I remember the times when I would sit, like when he would call me, I would feel as if my chest is going to burst. Like you feel that pain, you feel that heat in your chest, and to be sharp pain in my heart. So I realized that for him, he had moved on. He was happy with his family, and the wife by that time was even posting on Facebook. So I felt he's free. The other side, for me, I'm here chained in the bitterness of the relationship. And then also when now later on, he started telling me, yeah, for you're not getting married. Like you want to be a feminist. Like he would speak those other words which hurt me. So I realized that every time I kept him on my heart, he would hurt me. I would give him an opportunity keep my life stuck. And even it would be hard now to help other people, because when I started in Mali, it didn't start immediately, the forgiveness, because, like, to be honest, they say forgive, and you can even make a decision to forgive, but it takes a process to really forgive completely.
That's true.
Yes. So sometimes, even when I had started coaching in those early years, I would, because I had not completely forgiven, when someone would tell me something related to what I went through, I would find the anger now coming, and I start advising, not objectively, not because I'm looking at both sides and both options with an open mind. I would be like, I've been through, I'm feeling the pain. So I saw it was affecting my ministry. It was affecting my calling. It was affecting my normal life, because every time I would think about him, then I would run into those thoughts. I've told you, with my temperament being a melancholy, we think a lot. So if you don't control your thinking, if you're thinking about the wrong thing, you really go down. Yes. So I saw how it was affecting me in so many areas, and I chose to forgive. So but this second one, it was easier, because for this second one, my first thing was like, how could he, like, maybe just leave me like that? If they had said for him, he would be a better man.
But then he knew all your story.
I shared with him, and he was like, I want even to take you with this child.
Yes. He had promised. Okay.
Yeah. But then he didn't exaggerate, like, to this extent of me making decisions based on what he said. And then the fact that I knew I got him to comfort me, and to be honest, somehow there's a way how he helped me, like, to, like, to feel better, because, as I said, with that part, I was broken, and I always hear you talk about sex.
I love speaking about, like, please don't hide. Sex is sex.
Yes.
And the fact that you're just leaving it on a side, that's why we are getting into like young ones, especially from church, that when you speak about it, you have to run away from it. But then when it comes getting closer to the man, it's what is going to happen. You get pregnant by having sex. So really, that's the whole thing.
So the sex, the few times, and I got pregnant on the third time.
No.
So, but at least those 3 times I had sex, there's a way how they calmed me down. From now, the other days, because I had taken long. Remember, you're pregnant, it also has its challenges. Then you don't have a support system. Then the person has left you, and so it was a lot on me. Yes. So after giving birth, so by the time I was going to the village, of course, issues had started happening. So still it was not happening. So in that period, I had taken almost, it was coming close to like 10 months without having sex, and now broken. So the few times we had it, there's how it
helped you.
It helped me. So I think even when he left, that feeling would be like, yes, he comforted you in a wrong way, but at least there's a part he helped you. Because remember, the other first heartbreak was so deep. So even when he came in and tried to cover it, but again, I ended up with another break, his was not as deep as the other. So he had helped me now to at least reduce on the other pain.
The heart was already broken, so he could not break it again.
Yes. So for him, I easily forgave him. Actually, I forgave him, and even when we would talk, even a few years after the relationship, when we would talk, like, it wouldn't. I wouldn't feel anything. But then this one, I had this pain of, you convinced me, I left my job, I left my family, so I had a lot. So it took long to forgive him. But then I decided every time, even when sometimes I would feel today I've forgiven him, and then he calls and we quarrel, and then I again, feel the anger. And so I was actually, what delayed my forgiveness for the other first man is because I justified it. And I wanted to revenge actually at some point. I'd be like, I have to revenge. I felt revenging is what would make my heart relax and, heal. And then, so I would see, for all he has done, I'm right to be angry. You know how you can keep on justifying the anger and the resentment. But then when I saw now the side of the effect, how it was affecting me, I chose to leave. I chose to leave. Yes.
So there is a Christian girl who probably went astray, left serving, and she got pregnant. She's maybe also going through those challenges in life, not the same, but literally also going through those challenges. What can you tell her? Because then she needs to come back home to church. She needs to come back to forgive herself. All that. What can she say?
One, I say, don't look at what people are going to say. First, detach yourself from people's expectations, because people's expectations are that a church girl is supposed to be perfect relationship, perfect marriage, perfect career, perfect everything. But then in reality, things happen. We are also human beings.
That's true.
And another thing, we need to know that the devil is targeting us because we are serving, we are in ministry. So it is looking for a point where it can make people stop believing in God.
Yeah.
So that people, you see, even some people have started, they are like, these days, even church is not safe. These days, Christian women. So already, that is what the devil is happy with. So if you are a culprit, they will try, the shame will be there. The guilt, it will start with your own guilt. It will be then the society shame and all that. But then know that God is a forgiving God. I remember those days when I would sit and I'm like, when I was going to make a decision not to abort, I was like, God, I know the world will never understand, but you understand why I'm not doing this. And I'm doing this not for myself, not to abort. I refused to abort because I wanted to please my God. So I said, I'm doing this for you, and I know you will be faithful to me. And God has been faithful. So the society, they talked. And sometimes, by the way, they are not talking from a wrong side. Some people, because some people were my mentors, and were like, I mean, why would you didn't even come to tell us about this? How would you, after, like, especially the second relationship, they'll be like, anyway, yes, you know the first time it had happened, but then this, why didn't you come, and why didn't you ask for this? So some people are speaking from a good, like a good side of, you wouldn't have done this, though others are laughing at you. So look up to God. God knows you. God will forgive you without conditions. And make sure you may not be comfortable. If you feel you're not comfortable in your church, look for another church, but don't run away from church, because the more you also leave church, you also find challenges there. Remember, if you've been so much in church, you have few friends in the world. So even the other side will not welcome you well. They'll be like, hey, this one was, conceived and is pregnant here, and now it's coming this side. So they'll be still, you won't fit there.
Yeah, true.
So you this side, they will try to isolate you, won't fit there, but then even this one you won't. So my first advice is change church, but don't leave church.
You got okay. Now, for healing purposes.
For healing purposes, first change
your environment,
so that the word can first settle. Because entering church and everyone is looking at you like this. Yes. So change church, but for now. And then things will stabilize later, and you settle back into your church. Then trust in God. God will never leave you. Even in your private place, talk to God. Have this personal relationship with God. Not because your pastor has said, not because your reverend or whatever father has said something. Have this personal relationship with God, and know that with Him, He knows everything is possible, and He knows why we went through all this. Because for me, I look back and I'm like, okay, I'm not proud that I went through this, but I've helped so many people who are going through this, and He has given me confidence. Because me, I thought I would never speak about it. The world had set me on higher standards, and I wanted to keep my image, but then I felt like, when now it happened and I got my healing, it comes as a ministry. you're in a certain place and the church is calling you and these ones are calling you. So sometimes we may look at it as it from the other negative side that, why am I going through? Why me? Why me? Why am I ashamed? But then you never know where your ministry is.
Yeah, sure.
Currently, 80% of the people I speak to are people who have gone through similar things.
Yeah.
Or people who are in marriages and they are breaking. Actually, I get more people who are building families because I use preventive and curative strategy. If you're starting, we go through decision making and everything, how to build better. But then if it has failed, we see how to move on with life. Still, life doesn't end there. Can you restore it? Or are we going to, some people choose to live single after. So, it is also okay. So if you want to go back into relationships, we still see how to get back into all that. Yes.
That's so true. So now that you have gone through all of this, how do you define yourself now? How would you actually introduce yourself? Because then you are stronger, you are this thing. Introduce yourself.
I look at myself now as a purpose-driven woman.
True.
A woman who is thriving in my calling. Because actually, people think thriving is making money from what you're doing.
Yeah.
But if you're thriving in purpose, in your purpose, is walking, living in your purpose every day. I won't spend a day without counseling someone. It may not be a session, but someone is reaching out in your WhatsApp, someone is commenting on your post. So I'm living in my purpose. So to me, that is thriving. So, and I'm sharing I'm glad that people are learning from what I went through. My experiences. I know I tell people, don't waste your experiences. We go through things. If you, they say there's a book I think by John Maxwell. If you lose or learn something like that. So if you go through something painful, take the lessons. We all know that God goes through fire to be purified. Yes. So possibly that was my line of calling, and now I do it better. I do it proudly. I'm someone who used it to judge people who get children from different men. But now, when I see someone with 3 children from 3 men, before I judge that this person was loose, this person was what, I first look at my experience. I have 2 children from 2 different men. How did it come? So I extend more grace now
to them.
So I think my experience was purifying me. So now I'm a better person. I'm in line. My calling is clear because I don't actually look for people with sharing my experiences. I attract them. So I believe maybe God took me through these deserts. And I know I tell people, when you look at the Israelites when they are going to the promised land, they went through the desert. So possibly that was my desert to refine me, to prepare me now to my promised land. Okay. And I can say I'm in my promised land.
Amazing. Yeah. And so before you actually think of erasing that messy chapter in your life that you feel it's not good, you cannot talk about it, this is actually the time to embrace it, for you to understand that you went through it, because that if someone came to you and told you the same, then you understand that actually it can happen without even you wanting it to happen in your life. And seriously, this has been a good experience with you, Arinda, and I am so sure that each one of you, especially my church girls who have gone through this period of loving, dating someone, and then you have not defined what it's supposed to be. Then before you think about it, you are pregnant, then you cannot go to church. Then now a lot of things are happening around. This could be your changing space or changing time. That don't give up on God. Do not forget to keep getting closer, asking for counsel, because then that's how you're going to be helped, not to get deeper into the challenge that you have in your life, but also to ask counsel, so that if you have been far somehow, you're not going to get far into that. That will be like a stop for you, or like a turning point for you to get to do the rightful things in your life. Thank you so much, Arinda, for coming through. It's always a pleasure to have you on the Love Hub. And of course, we are proudly sponsored by Breadvet Drug Shop. It is located in Nansana, just next to Africa Oil along Hoima Road. Give them a visit. They deal in vet drugs. They have vaccines for dogs. They have vaccines for your poultry. They have complete feeds for all your birds. They call it even fish. They have food, fish food. Give them a visit. They have a field officer who goes to the field to check on your farm, on your animals. If you need help, if you need consultation, visit them. You can contact them on 0787087220 or 0701271801. They are located in Nansana. Give them a visit. And if you also you need one-on-one sessions with me, we are open. You can contact us on 0700-990-948. Give me a WhatsApp. You will want to bridge that gap of you just seeing me from afar, but you can actually connect with me on a simpler note. And also, we are open for advertising. If you want to advertise with us, your business, you need people to see it, please come to us, contact us on 0700-990-984. We will be able to do business with you. Till next time, I want to say peace out.